So I'm going to show you how to make a particular type of talisman for a particular type of purpose. And this is similar in a sense to the sigils we made in the week of judgment. Remember, in the week of judgment, we created a statement that we reduced the letters and we condensed into an aesthetic form so that we were able to forget what the statement was. And we even made a sigil forest, so a tangle of sigils that incorporate these images that remind our unconscious about our desires without actually reminding our conscious. Because this is how the sigil works. The sigil communicates directly to the unconscious, manifests as a feeling, and that feeling interfaces with the dream membrane or the dream threshold that brings things into and out of being. So now I'm going to teach you an exercise that is very powerful and is something I'm going to build on. And it's related directly to the chariot. So I have spoken continuously about the Abrahadabra formula. From the beginning of the course, basically, I've been talking about Abrahadabra. And Abrahadabra is a magic word of 11 letters. It has the numerical value 418, which is why it, among other reasons, is associated very strongly to this path, particularly because the letter Chet, when spelt in full, also has the value of 418. And in both Hebrew and Greek, the number 418 has a lot of interesting connections. Pallas Athena, Rahur, and the statement I am Hermes in Greek is 418. There's a tremendous amount of power in this number. And the word Abrahadabra is an 11-letter formula. It's broken into 2 wings and a central body. So Abra, had, and Abra. So the had, now this could be a CAD, but the thing with the CAD is it has a different numerical outcome. It's not 418, and 418 is actually the number we want to resonate along with this formula. So it was Aleister Crowley who identified the Abrahadabra formula as an adaptation of the Abracadabra formula, which was used since antiquity in the way that I'm going to show you. But the Abrahadabra formula is modified for the modern magical recovery. So Abra, which among other things can mean open, and had, which is hadit, which means the atomic point of consciousness, the almost, how would I say it, like the Planck distance, the fundamental space of singular awareness that in a way has no substance at all, and yet is the universe enfolded into itself as a singular being. So in thelemic cosmology, you have the Hadit point and the Nuit embracing Hadit. And Nuit is the fullness of reality, and Hadit is the singularity of awareness. And it's an erotic encounter between Hadit and Nuit. And this is understood as the fundamental kind of tension, erotic tension that brings consciousness into contact with eternity. And so Abracadabra was traditionally spelled in a triangle formula, so it will look like this. Now this is Abrahadabra. You'll notice I've spelt it in Hebrew. If you've learned how to draw Hebrew, this is key. If you have not, you can still do this, but write it in English. Hebrew reads from right to left. The English reads from left to right. But it's going to be okay either way. It's recommended Hebrew. But if you need to do this in English, do this in English. Okay, so what are we doing? There are two modes of this word. This is sometimes called the word of double power. And we've got these two wings, Abrahad and Abra. Abra is a fascinating word in and of itself, but it's the beginning of Abramelin, and it has all sorts of numerical correspondences. It's 204 is what it is. So that, it's 204. And then Had is 10, which suggests the whole tree of life in the center. So 204 plus the tree of life plus 204. So you can even imagine an egg with the tree of life in it with these two wings. Right, so this is the descending Abrahadabra triangle. The Abrahadabra is called the word of double power because it brings things into existence through 11 stages and brings them out of existence through 11 stages. And if you recall, the tree of life actually has 11 stations. It's got this Dath point, right? So these 11 layers are the Sephirot of the tree of life as they come into manifestation. And what you do with this is you do the first layer, and then the second layer, and then the third layer, and then the fourth layer, and you write these down while focusing. And I'm going to teach you what to do. But you do it layer by layer by layer. And remember, if you're in English, you're going in the opposite direction. If you flub it up in the middle, just take it, burn it, just to release the dross, and do it again until you get it correct. So you want the words to be spelled right. It doesn't have to be the most aesthetic thing. Really, the act of doing this and keeping focus as you produce the talisman, as long as the letters are all correct letters, the words are spelled right, and you've got 11 layers, that's your talisman. So, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to do two things. We're going to use the full double power of the word. And have a look here. This is a complete set of 22 layers. This is a diamond of 22 layers. Imagine 22 layers. There's your 22 paths. Think about the labyrinth. Think about the tree of life. There's incredible amounts of geometry. Think about the twin star, the facets of the Merkaba. Everything is highly layered. But to keep this nice and simple, this is what you'll need to do. You'll need a pen. I like these brush pens. They have a nice, they're good for drawing Hebrew, and they just have a nice feel. And you need some paper, and then I've got these written down. You need statements. And so these are statements you're going to destroy if you write them down after the talisman. These actually are not the statements that are truly encoded into this. I'm not going to tell you what those are because you should not tell. In fact, you should forget what they are, because if you make more of these, which we will, you'll forget which is which, and that's good because it's charged, but it's unspecific what it is. Your unconscious will remember it, but your conscious won't, and that's good. Same idea as with the sigils, right? So I've got two statements, and there's a positive statement here, which is, I am a daily meditator. So this would be an example of, let's say you are going to create a talisman to transform your experience of reality into one in which you are a daily meditator. You could say, I want to be a daily meditator. Then you'd probably end up transforming your reality into one in which you wanted to be a daily meditator. And since you already want to be a daily meditator, then boom, you would be back where you started. So don't make the mistake of turning your power statement into basically a statement of a wish or a statement of your current state of affairs, which is desire. You're going to make this in the present tense. I am a daily meditator. And even if this is something that when you say it, you feel it's not the case, that's okay. We are putting that into this talisman. We are making this talisman sing with this statement. All right. So, how do you do this? You get your pen, you get your quiet place, you get your concentration going, and you start to say, I am a daily meditator. I am a daily meditator. In fact, if you can, with each letter, say it. And you'll find that, of course, you'll trance out because you're doing two things at once. You're saying, I am a daily meditator, and you're writing this talisman. And you're doing it layer after layer, and you're looking to get it correct. So, again, it actually might be difficult. I made a mistake, and I burned that talisman. I discarded that talisman, and I returned. So it's okay to make a mistake just as long as you relinquish its power back to the universe and then come back and do it till you get it correct. And it may take a couple tries, but that's okay. Once you have it, it will show that you push through the obstacles, you push through the distractions. A mistake just means there's a blockage, and by pushing through it, you beat it. So, okay, so what I did was I took my statement and I wrote out these whole things, 11 layers. And you may have your feelings, your emotions might start to evolve, and then when you put in that last letter of Abrahadabra, in the lower form you've got this beautiful talisman that holds your magical intent. At which point I usually breathe into it and maybe use the scrying skill that we have to see something, to visualize something. You can really see this magical talisman twinkling with power once you've put that time and that focus and that attention into it. So you have a Abrahadabra triangle that has brought into being, has used the creative function of Abrahadabra and brought into being a state of affairs. Now, the destruction, or shall we say elimination, works in the same way, except this time you start with Abrahadabra and you diminish it, right? You start with Abrahadabra and then you have Abrahadab, and then or Abrahadabra, Abrahadabra, Abrahadab, Abraha, Abraha, Abra, blah, 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 blah. And you go all the way down until you have that last little one, and out of existence it goes. So it's in manifestation, and then it's just like stage by stage being retracted from participation in the habit field, the field of experience. So in this case, it's not in manifestation and stage by stage. It's brought into the field of play, and this time it's in field of play, and stage by stage it's brought out of the field of play. So, this create and destroy. And ideally, and I think I mentioned this in the talk about double articulation, which this very much is, the Hydra, the Hercules defeating the Hydra, right? He cuts a head off and then he cauterizes it. And this can be applied to addiction particularly, right? You stop something like coffee or cigarettes, but immediately you start something else that will segue that energy. So you can feed it in so that that energy doesn't get tangled, get lost in limbo land, going, I need to express myself, I'll pick up a weird habit, You don't want that. You want to be able to transmigrate that freed energy into something specific. So a good example is recovering addicts often transfer that either into the social life of recovery or often into physical exercise. And I'm talking about serious addictions, right? And you'll have people will start working out, or they'll take up a sport with really serious intent. So that's all here, right? So the creation and destruction, in a sense, go hand in hand. You kind of want to do both. You'll pick something to bring into being, and you'll pick something to take out of being. And the energy of the thing leaving will fill the thing coming. And so I chose this as an example. Again, this is, I mean, these are both statements that are true about me, so I feel good using them as examples, but they're not what's in this talisman. Because this talisman, I am not going to say to another person what's in this talisman. This has, this started with the full word and then minus one letter and then boom, 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 all the way down. And I use the statement, I am completely sober. So imagine you're a person who's in the grip of an addiction and you're saying this. It's powerful to make a statement that you feel is untrue, but you do that with the attention it takes, and then, oh, you got it wrong, okay, so you burn that one, and you come back to it, and you do it again, and you produce this talisman, this statement, and then it's in this, and then you forget about it, and you have this this artifact that holds the attention and intention that was placed in it. The last thing I'm going to suggest that you do is take the biggest example of it, cut it out into a triangle. Why do I say that? Biggest example. Well, I'm gonna cut this out into a triangle. I kind of want it. I might be running a little bit. I have another intention down the line that I want to bring about, and I may have to approach it slightly differently, actually. But I think actually this is fine for just a twofold little Abrahadabra diamond, right? And so I've got this. And look at that. I've made a little diamond, and it's not perfectly even. That's okay. There's a certain aesthetic to the rawness of it, right? And as we do this more, we get better at it. Our freehand kind of estimation happens, and so it goes. But this is a lovely little triangle, and look, I can make Imagine Star out of it. This is a vehicle. This is a vehicle to transform your experience of time. It will take the present and move it out of certain conditions and into other conditions. And I assure you that this is an extraordinarily powerful method. So I encourage you to try it out, especially now following the chariot. This is really a charity thing to be doing. So Abrahadabra